Today was supposed to be the day that an uneasy peace came to Syria. Instead, a United Nations-backed deadline for a ceasefire has passed, and if anything, the violence has escalated with clashes on the Turkey and Lebanon borders and government shelling in the western city of Homs. The renewed tensions threaten to wreck a truce brokered by the United Nations Kofi Annan that's supposed to see Syrian troops pull out of civilian areas. I spoke earlier to the Carnegie's Robert Naus in Beirut. Robert Naus, welcome.
Good evening, Chris. Thank you for having me.
This peace agreement appears to be in tatters already.
Yes, actually, I don't think that this peace agreement or this initiative presented by the UN and Arab League envoy, Kofi Annan, will hold, since the regime seems so far not very serious in dealing with it. We see the violence is still raging among many Syrian cities, including Hama, Homs, Idlib, and many others, even Aleppo recently. We see that yesterday there was more than 160 deaths among Syrian population and the opposition groups. So the violence is still taking place, and it seems that the deadline today will not bring anything new.
Beyond that, the violence now appears to have spilled across the border into Lebanon and into Turkey, with reports of a reporter being killed across the border in Lebanon and 2 civilians killed across the border in Turkey.
Yes, actually, it is spilling over. Yesterday in Lebanon, the New TV photographer Ali Shaban has died because members of the Syrian border patrol shot at the New TV team, wounding 2 others and killing him. The same thing happened on the borders with Turkey. So this was bound to happen. But what is feared most in Lebanon, for example, since we're here in Beirut, is more escalating issues such as civil conflict between Alawites and Sunnis, or between Shia and Sunnis, those who support the regime and those who do not support the regime. So these sporadic incidents will not have any significant effect on the Lebanese landscape or even on the Syrian landscape. These are just small events taking place. What we fear is the bigger ones.
What effect can the rest of the world have on Syria? Now, we've seen a concerted effort by the West, but resistance from Russia and China enough to frustrate that.
Yes, we have seen Russia and China being adamant on blocking any decision, any UN decision, or any initiative that requests the regime to step down, Bashar al-Assad to step down. They want to negotiate a political solution, yet we don't see any serious leverage that they are practicing or using against the regime or on the regime to make the regime present concessions or even accept to make a dialogue with the opposition. We see that the violence is still taking place in a huge amount. The tanks are still in place in the cities, facing the civilians and even the armed opposition groups, and don't see any serious attempt to put both parties on the table, on the negotiating table, to get to a certain solution. I don't think that the West can do much more. They need to get to a bargain with Russia and with China. Without that, I think there's going to be a hurting stalemate so far, and nothing new.
And clearly there are problems within the country, though, within the Syrian opposition, and the country itself is divided. So what is a sensible outcome?
Okay, so what I think is that the regime at the end cannot win, but it can surely prolong the conflict. It can lead to a protracted civil war, for example. This might happen without any serious intervention, without any military intervention, or under the form of humanitarian corridors, no-fly zones, buffer zones. I don't think much will happen.
Robert Naus, thank you.
Thank you, Chris.